Hey guys,
Welcome back to our channel, guys.
welcome back to our channel. It has been a while, so we are a little off right now.
But guys,
But-
can you believe this? We last gave you guys a video with two of us, and look at us now.
We have an addition if you haven't noticed. Well guys, it's been a crazy, in a good way, amazing last few weeks.
It has.
It's been all sorts of emotions, all sorts of just
Feelings.
amazing feelings.
Obviously, we had this beautiful little girl. She was born on Tuesday. It'll be exactly 8 weeks, and so we gave you guys so much of our pregnancy on Instagram. For those of you that follow us on social media, and you know, like so much of my pregnancy, I was just like, oh, like perfect feelings, and we just showed you guys everything from my pregnancy, and we just had the baby, and you know, we kind of left everyone in the dark about our experience, our birth story. And a lot of you guys have been asking me, you know, how everything happened, because she's a premature baby. For those of you
Yes,
that
she
don't
is.
know, she
5
was
weeks early.
5 weeks early, exactly.
35 weeks.
35 weeks in one day. And I just
Yeah.
showed you guys my perfect pregnancy on Instagram, and even on the videos here, and my bump dates, and how great I felt. And we didn't tell you guys how everything went down when we brought this beautiful little angel into this world.
It
So-
literally happened one day to the next. We were, so like to begin, she did have high blood pressure.
Yeah, so I think around 30 weeks exactly, which is
Yeah.
already like, I think 2 weeks into the third trimester, I was diagnosed basically with high blood pressure, which I had never had before.
Yeah.
So it was like a pregnancy thing. And when that happens, they watch you up closely for preeclampsia. So
And mind you, there's no symptoms. So when you have high blood pressure, you feel like everything is okay. You feel like everything is okay, and you feel like there's nothing wrong with you. And we thought at some point in the beginning, like, oh, like this is nothing, like we're gonna be fine. But as time went on, it's just
it started getting more
it
serious.
started getting a little more serious, and we got more worried and everything. And
I never got a headache. I never like got blurry vision. I never got any of those like very, very serious things that can point out like, oh, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I think at 30 weeks for the first time, like I had like high blood pressure, and they gave me this chart, so I started keeping track of it, and it started getting higher. So it was like, okay, so what do we do? So we started looking up things like how to make it better. We started like I started eating less and less salt, and you know, like just doing little things to prevent it.
Yeah, like trying to change
But
their
nothing
diet.
would work. Literally, like every week, I feel like my blood pressure would go up. So I
and up
feel
and up.
2 weeks after I finally started getting high blood pressure, I went to the hospital. You know, they kept me like. I got a bunch of blood tests. Everything was fine up to then. Like
The
my
baby
blood
was
pressure
fine. That was the most
yeah.
important, and like we thought everything was fine because the baby was so good. She was so good in there, and like nothing was wrong with her. They said she was perfect. The only thing was the high blood pressure. So we were like, if the baby's okay, then what do we have to like? What's gonna happen? What's so bad that can happen? You know?
But that was the first time I went to the hospital, so I was like, okay. So I just came here because they told me to come if I got like a blood pressure over 140/90, which is already starting to be like high.
Yeah.
But they just did a bunch of blood tests on me, and I didn't like needles. And they told me
No.
everything came back fine. I was super okay. So I was like, okay, you know what, Chris? Like next time I get a little pressure like this high, and I'm not gonna go, because I just felt like, you know, I'm not gonna come over here to be poked when my baby's perfect.
Yeah.
So they started giving me about 2 appointments a week. So they gave me one for my regular doctor, and then a little after, when my blood pressure started getting higher, I would do 2 times the genetics, which they would actually do an ultrasound. And every single time the baby was perfect. She kept growing. She was great. So I was like, okay, so what's wrong is me. So I guess I just have to keep changing my diet. Literally, at this point, I'm eating no salt. At this point, I'm like 33 weeks, and I'm eating no salt at all.
Literally eating like this much
Yes,
carbs
and
every
I was
day.
hungry. Like I'm starving. Like that's it. Like I don't feel like I'm gaining any more weight, because I can't keep eating.
And that's when we started worrying, because she
Yeah.
felt that she wasn't giving her baby the right nutrients, because she like literally cut off so many things,
So many
in
things
her
that I
diet
liked.
that she liked, that she's been eating, and the baby was probably getting used to in her belly throughout the first like 30 weeks of her pregnancy. And then randomly, just one day, just stop eating like that. We thought that, oh wow, what if the baby like stops gaining weight? What if she stops growing? Like that's when complications can happen, you know? So
But no, the baby was still good. Every ultrasound, everything was perfect. So I'm like, okay, so literally the problem is me. Like I don't even want to come over here, because Every time my blood pressure is higher, but I feel fine and the baby's perfect. So I'm not worried. Like, I'm literally not worried. I'm like, okay, so perfect. We're gonna make it, you know, like, little did I know that we were gonna actually give birth so early. I didn't. So we went to our 35 appointment, like our 35-week appointment, and unfortunately Chris couldn't be there that day. So he was working, and he actually kept texting me like nonstop, like, I'm gonna leave work early, I'm gonna try my best to be there. And my appointment was like at 4. He closes the bank like at 4, but you know, ends up leaving like at 5. But that day, for some reason, he kept insisting, babe, like, I'm gonna go. And I'm like, baby, why? Like, there's no reason for you to go. It's just like a regular checkup. I'm gonna be out super fast. And that day, my blood pressure was over the roof, literally. 170
That's what the doctor said.
170 over like 105 or something like that.
It was bad.
And I was like, okay. When I saw this blood pressure, I instantly texted Chris, like, I'm getting hospitalized today. Like, I didn't think I was gonna have the baby, but I knew they were gonna keep me, they were gonna poke me, they were gonna do all the things to me again. So exactly, I was right. So as soon as he saw that, he sent me straight to maternity. Like, that's it. And he was like, oh no, you're having the baby today, it's getting more and more dangerous. And I was like, okay, whatever, you know. The day before, they had told me the baby was weighing 5.2 pounds. I'm like, you know, babies have been born littler than that. I mean, smaller than that, sorry. And they've been fine. So I'm like, I'm not worried, you know? I'm like, whatever needs to happen is gonna happen for the best. And so I got hospitalized that night. Mind you, I didn't have a hospital bag. I didn't have pajamas.
We had nothing.
I had
ready.
nothing. Her room was not ready. Like, we were not ready.
We were literally like that. The beginning of the week, that week.
We were getting everything ready. Like,
that
we were
week
trying.
we planned. We're like, okay, look, it's already 35 weeks. We're already about to get to 36 weeks next week. You know, so let's have the hospital bag ready. Let's finish up her room.
We were gonna do everything
as
that
many
weekend.
things as we
That
possibly
weekend,
can. But a lot of those things got
Didn't work
postponed,
out.
and obviously, yeah.
So I got hospitalized Monday night, and that night they told me, okay, so we're gonna induce your labor, because I wanted to do natural. That was our plan. But at the same time, they had to put me on a drug. They had to put me on a drug called magnesium. And so the doctor was explaining to me.
Yeah, before we keep on going, magnesium is a drug that she had to get in her IV, which is to lower your blood pressure. And everything just gets lower, and it was working. But at the same time, when she's got induced at the same time, her contractions were like not going good, right?
So basically, that drug obviously comes with side effects, and I was very hopeful, you know, like, I was gonna be able to be induced, and it was gonna work, and I was gonna go to labor on my own. But the doctor always explained to me that that drug actually stops contractions, slows them down. So, and I was 5 weeks early, so it was gonna be very hard to bring me to have labor on my own. So it didn't happen. I didn't get contractions. I got dilated only to 2 centimeters. And you know, at one point the next day on Tuesday, he was like, listen, the Pitocin is not working. You're also on this drug. I think that the best thing to do is have a C-section. So I was like, you know, like, if it's gonna be the best thing for me and for the baby, then we have to do it. Because the only thing that was keeping my blood pressure down, guys, was this drug. And the longer that drug was in my system, the more dangerous for the baby, you know? Like, that drug is obviously, like, going to the baby too. So that day, he was like, okay, so I think that we should just do a C-section. So whatever, so I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, it's not what I wanted. It wasn't my birth plan, but at that point, I'm like, that's what has to be. It's gonna be done. So whatever, they take me off the Pitocin, they disconnect me, and they're about to get me ready for a C-section, which is just like a regular birth, you know, like, it has a procedure. They get you ready, they prep you, it takes like 30 minutes, but
just like if someone was scheduled for a regular C-section, that's what they were doing.
That's what they were doing. But in fact, before they start getting me ready, the first thing they do is just, you know, take me off like the little monitor that gets the baby's heart rate, and mine, it's like in your belly. And they basically disconnect me from everything. And when they disconnect me from everything,
literally at that second, as they're literally taking everything off,
I'm like,
and then we don't hear anything with the baby because obviously the monitor's not on the belly anymore. She gets a contraction,
and it's a super tiny contraction. I'm like, okay, so this is nothing. I wasn't even gonna say anything, but it was like something inside of me that said, okay, like, I have to say something. And I tell the nurse, I'm like, listen, I just got a really small contraction, like super tiny. Isn't it funny that right when you take me off the induction medicines, I get one? And that moment, they literally
and
like
thank
looked
God
me back
for this
up.
nurse that was like, okay, this is a
super
problem.
on top of everything.
Yes, like that nurse,
awesome.
like we were so blessed to have her at that moment, because she was literally on top of her the entire time, because she knew that the high blood, she knew that the high blood pressure, the magnesium, and all of that, they've been through that before, I'm sure. Like, Gabby's not the only one, and I'm sure they're used to that, so they know that what can happen and what
Yeah,
complications
high
can
blood
come
pressure
with
is
that.
very common in a pregnancy. But anyways, okay. So the scary part is that they disconnect me, whatever, and you know I get that, and then they plug me super back up. Like they put that on my belly, and guys, the baby was not there. They
Yeah,
could
they
no
couldn't
longer see
find
the
her.
baby, but they could see the long, like huge contraction. So I didn't feel it as huge. I didn't feel it was a big contraction, but apparently
They
it was.
couldn't hear the heartbeat anymore when they put that. Literally, like 1 minute before they took off the monitors, the heartbeat was fine. They heard her and everything, and then when they put it back to check about the contraction, literally they did not hear anything. They did not hear the heartbeat. They didn't even find the baby. It was
But
bad.
wait, the worst part is that they didn't tell me this. So the room that I'm in,
Yes,
you know, my
that
mom
is
is there,
fun.
Chris is there, everyone's there, and Chris and my mom had asked to both be in the C-section, even though you can only have one. The doctor was super nice. They were even gonna like try to make an exception so they could both go in.
No, they were. We were.
Yeah.
We were at the end. They
They were
actually
like, yeah.
decided for us to go together, and they were like, "Oh, okay." It's
But
going to
as
be
soon
done. It's
as
gonna be done."
everything happened, there's like 10 nurses in the room.
Oh my gosh.
As soon as like they see that the baby's not there,
Running
and
back
this was
and
the
forth,
scariest
back and
part.
forth, calling people on their radios or whatever they had. Little guys, come in, like emergency. Like they didn't say emergency because those key words
Obviously,
will
yeah.
obviously get her stressed, will get me stressed, will get her mom stressed, and that would just be bad. So they, literally, we did not know one thing. No one said anything. They were whispering, and I was.
But I
screaming.
obviously saw like their faces, like
Yeah.
I know something's wrong, and like
we're
obviously
not stupid either. Like we know something was happening. We just didn't know what.
I'm freaking out. I'm like, there's no way. Like she plugged me back up, and now like everything's happening so fast. Like there's something wrong, and I kept asking, what's wrong? What's wrong? They didn't tell me anything, and
I was there asking, like screaming, like basically crying, like asking them, like, what's going on? Like, tell us. And all they said, everything's okay, don't worry. But
They
nothing
literally
was okay.
switched me from one bed to the other. What do they call it? Like from one bed to the other, and they
Yeah.
literally rushed me across the hall super fast.
And I wasn't with her. I
Yeah,
couldn't
he
go.
couldn't even come with
I
me. They
was
gave me a
dying.
shot on the way. Like it's crazy, and everybody's screaming and whatever. We get to the operation room, I guess, and I'm like wondering where's Chris, what's going on, why is everything so fast? And they're
They
like,
literally injected her while on. You told me, right? They injected her on
yeah,
the way over there.
But they couldn't. Okay, so they basically could not put me on like the epidural, like kind of the same thing for C-section. They couldn't do that to me. They were like, no, she has to go under general. Like it was such a big emergency that they had to like
They
me
put her
under
to sleep
general anesthesia.
completely, and I
So,
couldn't go in at all.
1 minute I'm there, like I'm praying, I don't know what's going on, why are these doctors all over me? Like they're calling in the doctor, you know, he has so many other patients, there's so many surgeries that are scheduled, and I was an emergency, so he had to stop what he's doing, run in there, and it was just insane. So I'm praying, like I'm literally praying, I'm like hoping that everything's gonna be okay with the baby, normally, like with me, like I just, especially with the baby, I was just so scared because they didn't say anything. They didn't say what was going on, but obviously as a mom and just, you know, myself in general, I knew that everything was not fine. There was like 10 people over me, whatever. The anesthesiologist tells me like, listen, you're gonna get put to sleep, like, and he's behind me, and I'm like, okay. I'm praying and like, honestly, I was so scared. Everything that was going on around me and how fast they were doing everything, that I was like, I'm not asleep. What if they start the surgery and I'm not sleeping? And I'm freaking out. And from 1 minute to the next, I'm asleep. And mind you, this surgery with preparation and everything, it's like an hour. They scheduled it for an hour, right? And so when Chris comes over, he was like by the window. I'm still sleeping, obviously. They literally got the baby out and they put me.
So yeah, by the time they asked me, okay, you can come in now. Mind you, all of this that we're
Everything's done.
saying,
Yeah.
all of this that happened from like taking out the monitors and then putting them back to try to find
rushing
the baby.
me to the room.
All of
everything
this and
happened
the baby,
in less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, and the baby came out and the baby was on the table. They were closing her up. All of this happened in less
Everything,
than 10
closing
minutes.
me up, getting the baby out, everything happened in less
So
than 10 minutes.
yeah, so when they called me in that I can go to the room, they didn't even let me inside the room. They let me in there like for like less than a minute just so I can cut the umbilical cord.
Because it was an emergency.
It was an emergency C-section, so they let me in for like a second to cut the umbilical cord, and then like, okay, you have to get out. I'm sorry. So by the time I went in the room, the baby was on the table, so I can cut the umbilical cord or like cut part of it because obviously I couldn't go near Gabby. So she was on the table, and there was a little part of the umbilical cord, so they let me cut that. And then, but everything was happening already when I went in. The baby was out. They were closing her up. We couldn't experience how we wanted to experience this.
So it was nothing like
And
we
how
planned,
a lot of people
obviously.
experience it, how like it's like you see the baby coming out, you see like her like Gabby like there, like knowing like that we can like give her the baby. She couldn't even
Yeah,
see the
because
baby.
normally like everyone's awake, whether it's a C-section or it's natural, like you're awake. So I was not the first one to see my baby, of course,
Yeah.
and I actually was asleep when she came out, And because of the magnesium and everything that had happened and everything I was on, the baby was obviously on that. She had that in her
She
system.
had trouble breathing.
So she went straight into the NICU. She was perfectly healthy, you know, she was fine, but they took her straight to the NICU, so I couldn't see her. So I was gonna be on the magnesium drug for another 24 hours. Plus, I wasn't completely off the general anesthesia, so I was told that I couldn't see the baby for 24 hours. This was insane, you know. Like I was like, how can this happen? I'm supposed to be the first one to see her. I didn't even see her come out, and the fact that I can't see her first, you know, even if it was Chris, even if it was anybody else, my mom, I was super sad. I was super stressed. It was not what we planned. It was not what I expected, and it definitely took a big drastic like.
So the reason why they couldn't,
thing.
so the reason why they couldn't find, like when they put the monitors back right away and
The
they
baby's
couldn't-
heartbeat.
Yeah, and the heartbeat, and they couldn't find her, was because the contraction, she like pulled her umbilical cord, and she was in a true knot. So what a true knot was.
So true knot is very rare.
Yeah,
It doesn't really
it's
happen
really
to a lot
rare.
of people.
And the most important part,
It cannot be seen in
Yeah.
any ultrasound through your pregnancy.
Yeah.
It's something that like it needs to be very like a bad pregnancy or like bad results for you to be able to find this.
Yeah.
Like doctors don't see this. That's
they
the crazy part about
don't
it.
look for it because it's something that's so rare that they don't bother thinking about it. And
And everything in my pregnancy
yeah.
was perfect. All my tests, all my ultrasounds, everything was good.
And what they had told us is that since it's so rare, that when it happens is early in her pregnancy, when the baby is like a little bit, like a few inches there, and then she's like swimming around, and then like her swimming around in there, like, and then like she goes into the umbilical cord.
Which makes a little knot.
Yeah, and it makes like a knot, but the knot doesn't tighten up because like
You know, she's fine.
she's small.
The
and,
whole
like, she's not-
pregnancy is fine. Like the whole pregnancy is fine with that. It's not like a danger while you're in the pregnancy. The baby keeps growing. She has
Mhm.
space to move. I had so much fluid. Like I had enough fluid for her to actually make it to 40 weeks. So that was
Yeah.
fine. But from one contraction, which is the crazy part of it, like it's crazy. One contraction, and that's when you know the true knot tightened, and she was losing oxygen, so they couldn't find her heartbeat. So that's a really scary part. If I would have gone into labor on my own, if I would have been a full-term mom, if I would have been pushing and the induction would have worked, the baby wouldn't have made it because one contraction and they lost her heartbeat. Do you guys imagine what it would have been like if, you know, I wouldn't have been rushed to the ER? If I wouldn't have just had the baby right away, she wouldn't be here. So
or if the nurse didn't put back the monitors
yeah.
and said,
If
"Oh
she
no,
would
that's
have just
okay."
been like, oh, that's fine, you
Yeah,
know?
like anything could have happened. Like there has been cases they mentioned that like sometimes
They don't make it,
the
the
baby
babies
doesn't
don't
make
make
it,
it.
and the moms
lot of
and everyone
cases,
they go all these weeks with her carrying the baby, and then at this point like there's nothing they can do, and it's the worst part. Like that's the saddest part that can happen, and you know we're very blessed, and we call her a miracle baby because
She really is.
she's our miracle baby, and this is a miracle. Like how after everything that happened, she's with us, and we're able to
Have such a healthy baby.
and an amazing family, all of us together, enjoying every second of it, and it's great, really.
So a lot of people were asking me this story, and I was just telling Chris, like, it's not fair that I showed my whole entire pregnancy on Instagram, that, you know, I show like how great I feel, but yet I'm gonna leave this entire thing, like the most important thing, this is part of our story, out of it, and I'm not gonna tell you guys. I didn't think that was fair, and
Yeah.
you know,
and
now,
it's also something we wanted to put out there because this can happen to anybody, and if you're pregnant and you're watching this and you know like you have high blood pressure, it's something that is very serious.
Very
We
serious,
at
and I
beginning,
didn't take
we
it as serious as it
yeah, we
was.
did not take it serious, and then
I was like, it's
and
not, you
there's
know,
actually many, and people told us you have to be careful, that can cause a lot of complications, and we were like, no, it's okay. But then like after everything, we're like, wow, like this is actually very serious, and it's something
scary,
that
it's serious.
that you have to like take care of.
And just in general, like it just, what I got from all of this is that, you know, nothing is ever completely perfect. You know, we want it to be, and you know, my pregnancy, everything was perfect, but look at this moment, look at everything that led to this after, like how crazy, how scary, how traumatic it was for
Yeah.
us. I didn't tell anybody about it when I was in the hospital. Only like our family knew, like our close family members. I didn't want to explain anything to anyone. It was very hard for me to even talk about it. Like, you know, the first few days it was really hard especially because the baby, I didn't see her first. I didn't get to touch her. I didn't get to hold her first like any other mom would. And that was what was the hardest for me because she was in the NICU for a week. So basically I was a surgery and I was in the hospital since Monday. So I got discharged on a Friday. and the baby was in the NICU till Tuesday. So she was in the NICU exactly a week. She was born on Tuesday. She left the NICU on a Tuesday. For me, that was the hardest thing in the world. You know, like I would cry, I would get my feelings out.
Especially when we got discharged from the hospital. That day was very, very tough.
It was very tough. You know, like obviously we had to go to the hospital like twice a day, every day.
We came home with our child that we knew was in the hospital, and like she's not with her family. It's like something that like we couldn't handle very well.
Yeah. It was really hard.
We knew, like the only thing that we knew that calmed us down was we knew she was in good hands because how we saw, and how we saw they were treating her while we were there. How they were on top of her, how they were always like watching her, how they were taking care of her, monitoring her. It was like when we were home, it was hard, but we knew it was best for her because we knew she was in good hands, and this is something that like they had to make sure everything was okay.
I just think that it was just, you know, it was really hard because we didn't think that would ever happen. And also the baby was super healthy. Like when we left the hospital and everything, like the second day there, like she was already breathing on her own. She got disconnected from the fluids. Like
she's
so strong. Every day, like, you know, she got better. She was getting bigger. And the first few days she couldn't eat. She had magnesium in her body, so they had like tubes on her for that. You know, her breathing tubes, everything.
Nutrition.
So exactly, because I couldn't breastfeed her right away. She couldn't eat right away. I couldn't bottle feed her, nothing right away. So basically, I started pumping and I started doing everything, you know, so that when she got out of there, all I could do was breastfeed. And the first few days that she started eating, I was already like, I had been pumping since the first night that I gave birth. And you know, I just kept taking all the milk to the NICU every single day. Like I was taking milk to the NICU, like tons and tons of milk, because I wanted that to be the only milk that she had. And that's exactly how it was. And I'm very happy that, you know, with that, at least we were very, very blessed.
Yes,
but what I wanted to get out of the story the most is just what I said. Like, not everything goes as planned and not everything is ever perfect. But more than everything, like, you don't have to be religious to believe that. And, but what we got from the story is that everything that happens that is bad, God tries, you know, to work it in a way, like he tries to make it work for the better. He always finds a way to make you understand, you know,
so imagine
why he did that. Like
how we saw it is that like there's no symptoms or no like sign that we knew she was in a true knot.
No one would have known. The doctors wouldn't have known, and they told me, like, that's the beautiful thing about their profession.
Yes.
But it's also the saddest thing that, you know, they don't know that those things are gonna happen.
So imagine her not having.
If I would have never had high blood pressure.
Yeah, exactly. If she was never diagnosed with high blood pressure, the doctors would have never been on top of her or watching her.
I would have never gotten as many appointments.
Change her appointments twice every week to know, like, that at the end we found out that she had a true knot. Because imagine she never had high blood pressure. Let's say she never had high blood pressure, and we went full term. We went 38, 39 weeks.
I would have never gotten
I keep on saying transaction. Her first contraction, that would have tied in the true knot, and we would have been fine. We're like, okay, it's fine.
If I would have gone, okay, so forget it. Like, if I would have gone into labor on my own, the baby wouldn't have made it, because
exactly.
It would have been.
It's like that, straightforward, just like that.
It is. It's really sad to say, but you know.
Her first contraction, we would be normal. We would think, oh my gosh, I have a contraction. We'll be celebrating.
That's fine.
When we go to the hospital, they put a monitor and they don't find it. And we went all these hours going to the hospital, getting everything ready, and then at the end of the day, like that, like I can't even imagine. I can't even like try to explain to you guys, because like I'll start bawling right now, and it's like crazy because.
It still gives me goosebumps, like, honestly, when I tell this, like, it still gives me goosebumps, and I still get teary, and it's crazy because if I would have never gotten high blood pressure, then, like, we would have never gotten our baby girl.
Yeah, we would have never known.
So, I gave
God
her
works in mysterious ways too.
5 weeks early. If it wouldn't have been for that, then, you know, maybe we would have never met our daughter. So she's truly a miracle.
That's
and we're so blessed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are you crying?
I literally always cry when I tell this story.
I try holding myself.
Which is why I didn't want to do this video for a while until I was ready. I'm really happy, and we have a very healthy baby girl.
So at the end of the day, like,
and she was born perfectly fine. The only thing is that she was on that drug that I was on, so, you know, it was a couple of days so she could breathe on her own, get fed, and on her own. And so that's why she ended up in the NICU. But it was really hard for us. I cannot imagine what it's like for other parents. We were only a week there, and, you know, like, our heart was broken. We didn't know what to do. I didn't want to talk about this with anyone, like, even our family. It was just, I wanted to be alone with Chris. Yeah. We always had people around, you know, so we weren't able to really express ourselves, and, like, that's very hard. And if I would have told friends, and he would have told friends, it would have been even harder. And post about it on social media and get messages and people
Yeah.
feeling bad for you. I didn't want that, so I didn't put that. And
We didn't want that type of attention for us.
We didn't want that.
At that point. It
and
was really hard.
but I did want to tell the story because so many people have asked me, so many people I have not been able to truly tell you guys all the details, and you're never ready for this. No one will get you ready for this. You make a perfect birth plan. You have a great pregnancy, or maybe not such a great pregnancy, but you still have a super healthy baby, and you don't know the complications that can come along with anything.
Yeah.
And we're so blessed. Like, I've told my dad like this story, and like everyone gets goosebumps. He was working. He actually wasn't even able to be there, and it still gives me goosebumps. And other people I've told, because you might not believe in God, but to know something like that happened, like if it wasn't for the high blood pressure and everything that happened those last couple of weeks, we wouldn't have our beautiful baby girl.
Yeah. Alright guys, so thank you so much for watching. If you kept on watching to the end, we really appreciate that. We appreciate all of your support. And yeah guys, so just stay tuned for our next video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as me and my beautiful family, now, not only my girlfriend, but our beautiful family, say we'll see you in our next video, guys.
Peace.
Bye guys. Hi mama.
Say hi, Audrey. She just ate.
Hey.
Hi, baby girl.